Overwhelmed with young and pretty? How about seasoned and credible? Yeah, I still read these. I haven't given up on this profession I love. So, hey, Steve Rondinaro here. Good evening. You wouldn't believe what happened here just about 5 minutes ago. Massive power outage. The entire system went down. We're back, but by the hair of our chinny chin chin. And we're going to do our best here to fill some time creatively while we go about the process of trying to get all of our electronics lined up once again and move along doing the news. Thanks for having us in for news. I'm Steve Rondinaro. The busiest travel day of the year started out smoothly enough, but right now the bridges in and out of the port city are a bit of a mess. WWAY's Megan Torgeson is live to fill us in on an accident on the Cape Fear Memorial Bridge. Happened about an hour ago. Megan?
If you want to fly up there, you need two things. A strong interest in weather.
And a strong stomach.
You got that right,
Yeah.
my brother. It gets a little bumpy.
Oh, I've had some friends come back green and battered.
Yeah, they don't usually ask for a second trip.
No, no, thanks. It is a sign of just how bad things have been in the auto industry. General Motors says it lost $1.2 billion from the time it left bankruptcy protection through the end of September. But that's a lot better than previous quarters, indicating that GM is starting to turn its business around. GM is also planning to start repaying the $6.7 billion it borrowed from the U.S. government. So, we just saw the stock numbers. You just saw what GM is up to. Is it time to get back into the market in earnest? That's a question people are starting to ask more and more. Certified financial planner Ross Marino is here in person for some insight. Good to have you back on the set here.
Thanks, Steve.
Well, is it time to get in wholeheartedly here?
It's a great question.
Kids of the local preschool got to enjoy a Thanksgiving feast today aboard the Mayflower. That Mayflower. Child Development School kids and their families got to chow down in an empty Mayflower moving trailer donated by Murray Transport and Storage. The kids grabbed their Thanksgiving favorites. Now, the veggies weren't a big hit, but they did tell us what they're thankful for this year.
I am thankful for my family.
Tuesdays during the month of November, we're going to tell the stories of people who've overcome odds and obstacles.
These are resilient people who refuse to be defeated by disabilities or dissuaded by the chance of failure. Tonight I begin with a face that may be familiar to you. You know the hat, the smile, and the hands. Amazingly, these twisted hands are those of a painter.
Believe it or not, that was one of the greatest things that could ever happen to me.
While he'd earned a master's degree in art, Ivey Hayes was earning his living as a baler at Wilmington's Federal Paper Company. Though he was good, painting was a watercolor pastime. Then severe rheumatoid arthritis set in. By summer of 1987, Ivey was disabled by it. That's when his doctor recommended that he use painting as therapy.
As a result of getting sick, okay, it gave me time to not only try to utilize my hands, but at the same time to get into painting like never before. And so it was a positive thing, not a negative thing. As a result of using painting as a form of therapy, now you see what's here today.
And what's here today is a magnificent array of color and perspective in acrylic. Born of bright visions, Ivey says, come from above.
I was given a gift from the Lord of being an artist.
And the Lord speaks in colorful ways, says Ivey. From the coastal scenes, to music, to sports. But even with the help of his brother Philip, it's getting harder.
The doctor said I would lose, my grip in my fingers. And I can see that little by little that is taking place. And so, but while I can paint, I paint.
Often he uses one gnarled hand to steady the other. Some days it hurts. Other days it's okay. But Ivey Hayes is not about to stop.
As long as there is breath in this body and there's ability to perform, I'll never give up. Now, I may not be able to do like I used to do, but I never give up.
Every time I talk to Ivey Hayes, I learn something new. This time around, I learned he is also a musician. An accomplished keyboard player, he can now use only one finger on his left hand and two fingers on his right, but he still plays regularly and loves it. Very inspirational guy, Ivey Hayes.
Very, very talented guy.
Extremely. This rapid response unit launches from ships, landing by sea or by air. They're only the second unit to use the Osprey on deployment. This MEU is trained to carry out 43 different kinds of missions, from acting as a strike force to rescuing personnel to what they're doing today, responding with medics to a mass casualty scenario. It could be all too real in Afghanistan or Iraq.
In this scenario today, two insurgents dressed up as civilians had IEDs on them, went in there, and one of them they stopped beforehand, but the other one, he went into the building and blew himself up.
They're going to send in a team of 100 Marines or so, whose primary objective is to go into a building, clear the building of any enemy or hostile threats, and then treat all of the casualties.
For medics and corpsmen, this mission requires a certain mindset: assure security before saving lives.
That's one of the key points of this training is, one, maintain that security, secure any hazards, and then effectively treat and triage and get those casualties out of the area.
One of the greatest challenges Marines face in situations like these is knowing who's friendly and who's hostile. It's a split-second decision. Lives may hang on it.
And I worry about problems which will...
Minimizing civilian casualties was something that was stressed by Joint Chiefs of Staff Chairman Mike Mullen when he spoke to deploying Marines at Camp Lejeune on Monday. That's no small task.
It's always hard, because you have to carefully balance, the ability to attack the enemy without putting civilians in danger, which takes a lot of training and a lot of careful tactics and a lot of planning. But fortunately, the Marine Corps is really good at all of those things, and we've been able to be successful at it thus far.
At the end of the battle, these Marines know this is as much a war for hearts and minds as it is for territory. This exercise was all about saving Afghan civilians.
People think of the Marine Corps and they think that we're great, we're going to go in there and kick some butt. But at the same time, like this training today, the mass CAS training, it's not about going in there and kicking butt. It's about going in there, saving lives, assessing the situation, and helping out people.
Helping them out in more ways than medically.
It all comes back to, one, you have to secure the area and make the people feel safe.
April 15th has come and gone. Did you get your taxes done in time? Did you pay someone to do them for you? The IRS says about 60% of us do. It's just gotten too darn complicated. You can just ask any number of Obama cabinet nominees. Well, here are some numbers for you from the IRS itself. Individuals and businesses spend almost 7.6 billion hours a year complying with IRS filing requirements. Since 2001, there have been more than 3,200 changes to the tax code. That's an average of more than one a day. This may be the most amazing number of all. The U.S. tax code contains 3.7 million words or so. By the IRS best estimate, that translates to more than 70,000 pages. Now, this is a ream of paper. There are 500 pages in a ream. Come here, I want to show you something. This is 30 reams, 15,000 pages. Now, multiply this by almost 5, and you have the equivalent of the U.S. tax code. And we'd be pushing up against the ceiling of the studio. It's absolutely ridiculous and out of control. We deserve a simpler tax system. Oh, there have been attempts in the past, but you can see where they've gotten us. It's time for some political bravery, lest the whole tax code come tumbling down upon us under the sheer weight of its complexity.